But every time that someone says something, like let's say, Martha says something, no more than 2 hours later, she's dead. Hello, everyone, and welcome. I am, of course, your host, Gray, always joined by the lovely Christina.
Hello.
Today, we have a couple things. So, number one, before we even start, we do hope that you all are absolutely enjoying our podcast and loving every minute of it. And for those that are just tuning in, welcome to the spooky side. But also, one quick note. I do want to mention and give a shout out to Christina for something that I think is going to be amazing. And I think you all should definitely check it out. So Christina has started a business, and she is, I'll let her explain it.
Okay. So me and my other partner, Amy, have begun a mystical, witchy, spiritual shop called Mystical Moonlit Paths. We are specializing right now in handmade, hand-infused ritual oils, ritual candles that are hand-dressed, and mojo bags that are hand-picked and put together with all intentions for that specific thing. We have 6 flavors, for lack of a better term. We've got a return to sender, we've got a luck, we've got a money, we've got a love, we've got a grounding, and we also have man, was that 5 or 6? Anyways. Oh, protection. Yes, we have protection too. So the thing that I love the most about this though is that our products are named off of songs, music, because we feel that music is so important to people and it has a lot of energy attached to it. So we have named our products after songs. And if you want to go check them out, the products that is, it is www.mysticalmoonlitpaths.com. And yeah, we're really excited. So I'm excited about this collaboration as well.
Yes, it's going to be great. So not only do we do, spooky stuff on the podcast, but now you have witchy stuff along with us. So, so please go check her out. Go check out the website for any of you that are, not well versed or still learning the craft and need a little bit of assistance and or just want to support a really good business. Please go do that because, it is technically part of us, kind of, but not. Well, it's because she's here. So that's it's like it's like the cool twin that like I don't know where I'm going with that one. Anyways. So today's episode, of course, we are filled with different mysterious beings. Now, not like beans is like the bean that you eat, but beans. Wait, beans? I'm too country for that. I can't say that right.
Beans.
Anyhow, thank you, beans. They,
Yep,
oh,
keep going.
yeah, words are hard. Anyways, thank you again, of course, like I said, for joining us. So today's episode is going to be really, really cool. It's going to, I wouldn't say play on your fears, but I'm sure everyone from when you were a child up until now have either experienced it, heard of someone experiencing it, or read about someone experiencing it. So I'm going to let Christina kick us off into the amazing episode and take it away.
So kind of the topic for tonight is going to be a little bit about like haunted facilities or hospitals and the things that may inhabit them. So,
Hmm.
just in general, hospitals and healthcare facilities are among the most commonly reported haunted locations. About 30% of Americans have reported believing in ghosts or hauntings. And so, hospitals, sanatoriums, which are not in existence anymore, asylums are not in existence anymore, but they are among the most frequently investigated locations by paranormal groups. And night shift workers in these facilities that are up and running, right? Hospitals, mental health facilities, prisons, whatever. They frequently report unexplained voices, footsteps, apparitions, and just weird stuff. So, a lot of people think that environmental factors, stress, grief, sleep deprivation, of being in a facility like that could provide the possible explanation for many experiences. But I think it's just the combined energy of all the bad stuff that happens in these places. There's a lot of things that happen that are life changing. So I feel like it just holds on, and that's how we get the different entities, beings, whatever you want to call them, that inhabit these places. So that's my thought on it.
I mean, for, every hospital, I mean, let's face it, every hospital, someone has died. There's always that town hospital where it's like, oh, if you go to that hospital, that's where you go to die.
Right.
People almost speak it into existence, which words are powerful. Words are powerful. Do remember that. But yeah, no. So on that note, right? Seeing things and hearing things. So let's kind of transport ourselves into the middle of Appalachia. Okay. So you're in the middle of Appalachia. Now, the Appalachian Mountains are some of the oldest mountains stateside, right? Some of the oldest mountains known to man, and woman and child and beast. But anyway, so there's some very, very old mountains. There are some very old that go along with these mountains. There are some things you don't do in these mountains at certain times of the day and or night. But transport yourself into the Appalachian Mountains, circa 2000 and I want to say 2005. So
Okay.
circa 2005, Appalachian Mountains, my hometown. Okay. And my hometown is surrounded by woods, right? We are literally in the bowl of Appalachia, right? So we have, you go through woods to get to wherever you need to be. Anywhere is about a 30-minute drive to a major city, or sometimes 2 hours, just depending. But anyhow, so little hospital, you know, there's, this is modern day, right? So this is modern day. So little hospital in my small town. And this hospital, of course, has been around since I want to say the 60s, right? Maybe a little bit, probably mid 60s is when it's been around. That's when it was built, founded, all that. And for a while, it was a really good hospital, right? Had really good doctors, had great nursing staff. The patients that were in there were primarily elderly. It had an emergency department for actual emergencies. But it didn't see much death, right? It didn't see a lot of death. It didn't see a lot of despair, when it was first built. But now we're fast forwarding to 2005, and now the hospital has seen a lot of death. It's gone through multiple changes. It's changed multiple hands. Different administrations have been in and out of that hospital. Doctors, of course, have retired and passed away. Nursing staff has retired and passed away because, nurses can't always be on the clock. They have a life to live too. But, so put yourself in my shoes. I'm a young teenage boy. Family member gets put in said hospital. Now, at the time, there are three main floors. Okay. There's first floor, which is your doctor's office. There's second floor, which is your beds. So that's where you stay when you're, and then third floor at the time was, recovery from outpatient or sometimes inpatient surgeries.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was very minor, right? You didn't need a lot of equipment. You didn't need a lot of nurses. You didn't need, you don't have an ICU in this hospital anymore in 2005. Well, family member went in, right, in 2005. I think they broke their leg or something. And so we got the cast on and everything. Well, then they ended up somehow they got sepsis. So sepsis overtook them. So they got readmitted back to the hospital. And, they were getting better and everything. And then come to find out their gallbladder needed to be taken out. And we're like, what the fuck? So going through sepsis, broken leg, gallbladder needs removed. So now, not only are they going from, staying in the room, but now they're going in, after the surgery, they're going into the recovery ward, right? So third floor. Now, third floor it has gained a reputation over the years from the time that it was built of 2005. His third floor is where some of the harder to take care of patients were put. So not necessarily crazy patients or, violent, but just some of the ones that needed a little more care and a little more looking after than most patients at the time, right? In the recovery ward. That's fine. But over the years, patients have been violent, patients have, done all kinds of stuff. Well, the known for a red hat lady. Now, her true origin, and it could just be steeped in the lore of Appalachia. It could be steeped in craziness, but the consensus for the red hat lady is she at once was a nurse who, back when the hospital was in its heydays, she would take care of patients, but she would take care of them a little too well. Not saying that she went above and beyond. I mean, I'm sure she did, but she also was a transfer from another hospital, from the old hospital in my hometown, because there was two at one point. But anyways, she was transferred from the old hospital, but she would take care of her patients a little too well. And when I say that, she, for whatever reason, every single one of her patients would seem to pass away. Now, not all of them were old. Some of them were in recovery of a surgery. Some of them were coming in because she would work, med surge. She would work triage. She'd work different positions in the hospital under, but her main was recovery. That was her home floor. Well, her patients would just die. Now, some of them were, a little off worse for wear. Some of the doctors are like, hey, the surgery had this outcome. There's a X% chance of survival from this, or, and of course, medicine back then was not the best of the best, right? It's not what we have today, in 2027. I mean, it was good. It was definitely advanced. It was, everyone had the research done and everything, and that's fine. But, back in the, the early time of the hospital, the doctors would ask, well, how's patient in room in 3B? Well, patient 3B is doing great. I gave her medication. She's recovering well from said surgery, so she had her appendix removed, right? Doctors saw appendicitis, at the time had her appendix removed. Well, she's doing great. Yeah, I gave her, X amount of morphine to help relax her because she's in a little bit of pain. Morphine was the go-to, the big go-to. And,
Yep.
mysteriously, chart would be written up, but the patient would die the very next day, or sometimes within the time span. And people kind of blew it off like, you know what? Yeah, that surgery doesn't have a high survival rate. Or maybe they were just really old and maybe their body couldn't handle what they were going through. Well, over the time, her patients got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and they stacked up. And being in rural Appalachia, no one truly catches on, right? No one really thinks anything of it because, there are people who, whistle at night. They keep the windows open and, or the curtains open at night. They, say certain things, or they do certain things, and, so no one really thinks anything of it, right? But over time, found out she was killing her patients. People found out she was legitimately killing her patients. The way she was doing it was very, very subtly, but she would do it as if it was, medication rounds, or it was patient hit the call button and now she has to go deliver the meds. But the patient wouldn't hit the call button. She would hit the call button and she would act as if, oh, I got it, and she would go answer her own call button. But fast forward now, up on third floor, family members in the hospital in recovery. And he goes, I saw someone last night in my room. I said, oh, well, yeah, you're going to see people. It's a hospital. He goes, no, you don't get it. You don't get it. I saw someone in my room who was wearing a hat. And I was like, candy striper? Because at the time, our hospital still believed in candy stripers. Now, if none of you know what a candy striper is, a candy striper is like it's like a person who signs up, helps deliver
Water.
to the patients. Yeah. Patients, water, stuff like that. So something that, a CNA could do, but CNAs have other jobs to do, right? Helping chart, helping, do all this, helping clean up a patient, helping feed a patient, all that kind of stuff, right? CNAs have weird duties. But anyway, so I'm like, Andy Sharper? He goes, no. He goes, you don't understand. He goes, you're not listening to. It was a woman in a red hat, and she was gangly looking. She was sickly looking. She didn't belong. Like she was a patient. And I'm thinking, um, what now? And so I kind of blow it off. He gets out. He keeps telling us about this red hat lady, and keeps telling us until finally I believe him. I'm like, okay, you know what? I believe you. You said so much about it. I finally believe you. And he goes, thank gosh. And I'm like, yeah. So what's going on? He goes, well, so she come up to my room and she would stare at me and I could feel her breathing. And I'm like, you feel her breathing? What? Like, so it's got to be someone. Is it someone playing a prank? Is it, one of your buddies? Is it, one of your wife's buddies? Like who is it? And he's like, no, you don't understand. He goes, her breath is ice. It's cold. And I
Oh.
shiver and I'm like, I'm sorry, what, dude? So this is, at the time, of course, I dig a little deeper. I'm like, okay, all right. So that's a little funky. That's a little weird. So he kind of stops for a little bit. Then in 2010, no, 2009, third floor becomes abandoned. Third floor shuts down. We do not have the funds to keep open the third floor. So no surgeries at all are done in my town's hospital. So now you have to go to the next town over, which of course is about a 45-minute drive, or you go to the big hospital, which is almost a 2.5 hour drive.
Mm.
So now there's no surgeries. Funding's low. Third floor shut down. So all that's open is the second floor and the first floor. So doctor's offices and, like general, just, you know, beds to stay overnight, right? To stay overnight or for a few days to be monitored, right? So it's just simple beds. So no surgeries are done. No surgeries can be done. They no longer have the equipment for said surgeries, right? So they took out all the equipment for said surgeries in this hospital,
Okay.
or major surgeries, should I say. So, um, third floor is empty. Now, the third floor sat empty for years. For years. Before I got married, I got the chance to go to said hospital and I walked in, went to the nurse's station, said, "Hey, um, I'm da 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 da. I know the third floor shut down. I want to look at it. I want to walk around it." She, of course, said no. Absolutely said not because,
Sure.
I'm sure
A restricted area.
biohazard, restricted area, medical records, all that. So I get it. I get it. So, I wasn't allowed, but that's okay. So I left. And as I was leaving, the third floor is dark at the time. Floor, you could look up at the third floor and you could just see pitch black. Now, whether that was curtains, tinting, whatever, or just lights off, I'm sure it was just lights off, but the third floor had not been lit up for years. As I was leaving, I could see a faint shadow of someone. I didn't see color and I didn't see them wear a hat, but I was like, okay, you know what? This is a hospital. People die. I was like, whatever. It's probably just a soul lost, or energy trapped. So I brushed it off. Well, now fast forward to 2022, 2022. Get a call one day. I get a call one day from my parents. Hey, it's mom. She's like, "Hey, the third floor opened back up and this person's in the nursing home. You know him." I'm like, "Yeah, oh yeah, I know him." So now the third floor is turned into a small long-term care facility, not a
Oh,
hospice, but a long-term care facility.
right.
Has exactly 20, I think I want to say 20 beds. Yeah, no. Yeah, it has 20 beds because not every room's a double. Some rooms are single. So there's 20 beds in it. Okay. So you can have 20 long-term care facility patients up there. Well, now these long-term care facility patients, they start telling the staff that they're seeing someone. Someone's coming in their room. They're not knocking. They're just coming in their room. Now, of course, these are elderly patients. Majority of our elderly patients. And nursing staff's like, okay, well, you know what? It's probably just, Jane from, you know, 3F, bed 2, whatever.
Right.
And they're like, no, you don't understand. Like, it's someone. They're not knocking. They're not saying they don't know her names. Like, it's somebody. So the nursing staff gets a little leery. Well, the nursing staff gets leery. They start to experience things. They start to experience cold chills. They start to experience feeling like someone's watching them. Now I have friends who work in that facility. And so, my friend's telling me all this and she's like, the other night I was in, helping a patient and, all of a sudden I just got this cold chill and I felt like someone was standing behind me and I could feel like cold, icy breath. And I text her back and I go, what room were you in? And she goes, oh, well, I'm in this room. And she told me what room she was in. And she's like, can't say the patient. I'm like, I don't care about the patient. I mean, I do, but it's none of my business. HIPAA, it exists. And she's like, yeah, that's fair. I'm like, okay, but what were you like cleaning her up? Or are you just kind of helping her? She goes, oh, I was just tucking her into bed. So, okay. You were in that room. You felt like a cold, icy chill. She goes, yeah. I'm like, okay, well, that's a little weird. So yeah, whatever. She blew it all. Well, more stories started coming out. She started texting me all these stories of like people seeing apparitions and hearing and feeling things. And then one night, one of the administrators of the hospital was happened to do a round. And as she was doing her round, her and another, I guess, clerk or someone who works for the hospital or for the facility or whatever, the company, they're doing the rounds. It's late at night. It's like 9, 10 o'clock at night. Don't know why they're doing them that late, but they are. And she rounds the corner as if you're going to go into the elevator, the first floor after you're done on the third floor. And a friend told me, she goes, as she was rounding, because she was walking down the hall at the time, as she was rounding, she felt a cold chill kind of come over. She was going through like one of the double doors to another side of the ward. And all of a sudden she just hears this screech, this terrifying screech. And like she turns around and she just sees the administrator and the clerk just frozen in fear. but she sees nothing. The elevator doors open and she runs up to him. She goes, "Are y'all okay? Are y'all okay?" And the administrator, she goes, "I just saw a lady in a red hat. She looks sick."
Uh-oh.
Because where is she? What room does she belong in? And so, my friend, not knowing what to do, she goes, I don't know. I don't, is there someone here with a red hat? She goes, "There has to be." She goes, I don't, she goes, I swear. She, stammers. She's scared. She doesn't know what to think. And she gains her self composure. She goes, "Okay, I don't know what's going on." She goes, "But either someone's playing a prank or that's an actual sick patient, but I have to go find them." She leaves our friend up on the third floor alone. So friend on the third floor alone, doing her thing, doing her stuff. And then all of a sudden, as she's coming back out of the room, going back to the nurse's station, she sees a red hat. And it's like she said, it's almost as if, like, how, like, in the, when nurses used to wear hats, like different
Yeah,
colored hats, and you'd see them walk by and you would see like the shadow of it or whatever, and it just looks like it walking by. And you just have,
right.
she goes, "It looked like an old nurse wearing a colored hat." And she goes, "I saw them leave my station." And I'm like, "What?" She goes, I saw a red hat lady leave my station." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" And she goes, I don't know. I don't get it." So a few days fast forward, now patients are starting to come to hospital administration or ward administration and saying, "We keep seeing this lady. The nurses aren't doing anything. They're not, the doctors aren't doing anything. They think we're crazy." And like, but every time that someone says something, like, let's say, Martha says something, no more than 2 hours later, she's dead. She passes. No
What?
second wind. Yeah, no second wind. Like, a dying patient will sometimes get
They
that
can
second
rally.
wind.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can rally, right? It's very common for people who are dying. Um, they can rally, and she's like, these, like, a patient will say something, but there's no sign of death, right? It's just a nursing home. They're not in hospice. They're not on hospice care. They're not, they're just old. Perfect. They have their health problems, but
They
but
just
the
need
cause of
extra
death,
help. Right. They're
yeah,
not
but the
dying.
cause of death, every report, the cause of death has been a heart attack.
What?
Every report, heart attack or heart failure,
How was
every
the
report.
lady killing her patients? Like, what was she doing?
That's the thing. You can kill a heart with multiple medications, I'm sure.
Sure. I mean, is that what they think? It was medication related?
It had to have been. But unless she knew something, right, that unless she knew something that was completely different than what modern medicine can figure out,
I wonder if she
you
was putting
know,
air in their IVs or something. Like something like that.
yeah, because putting air in the IV is a big thing.
Right. I mean, we have filters and stuff now, and the IV pumps are set up so like that doesn't happen, right? So, but I mean, if we're talking old school nursing, they would probably were on like a drip system, not hooked up to a pump. So,
Yeah,
I,
and then the drip system you can mess with.
right. Yeah, of course. And then not to mention the medications. I mean, there could be, like you said, numerous medications that she
Oh
could have
yeah,
used. I mean, that they wouldn't even think to look for necessarily back then. I mean, forensics is way better now, but back then, I guess there is a lot she could get away with.
yeah, yeah. So anyway, so now people are seeing Red Hat Lady.
Oh,
People are
wow.
talking about it. People know about it, right? So now they're seeing her apparition, and every interaction is she looks sick. She looks gangly, like she's dying, right? That's what everyone in this hospital now says.
It's all that
Now, of
evilness.
course, yep. So now, fast forward to like today, right? Today's date. Of course, it has now expanded from 20 beds to 40 beds because they've opened up the other half of the wing, because
Mm-hmm.
for a long time, we couldn't get the staff in this hospital, right? So, funding has been rough. But so now we're up to 40 beds. Out of 40 beds, for every 5 beds, there is always two that pass away within the hour to 2 hours of mentioning the red hat lady
Man.
with no explanation other than heart failure, heart attack, and that's what the doctors are writing because they can't explain it. Now, some might have a blood disease, but the majority consensus is hearts.
Do they have
So
rear view cameras in these rooms? Just curious.
outside the rooms,
Okay.
outside the rooms, nurses station, um,
I'm curious what they're
leaving
seeing on these cameras.
right as am I. So I don't know. It's just she's became is known as the Red Hat Lady of the hospital, and it is it is a weird thing. That's all I know. It's weird. It's unsettling. It
Bizarre.
makes me a little. It makes me a little uncomfortable to talk about. Like I'm trying to, because like I
Yeah.
still can just go up into that hospital, right? It's just it's not,
Sure.
it's still open. But
Right.
yeah, no, it's very odd. It's one of those that like sometimes you're scared to talk about something because like there's some validity or truth to it. Like the
Mhm.
Appalachian Mountains, like that's why I get scared when people whistle at night.
Right.
I don't like it. It makes me frightened. That's why my blinds stay closed at night.
Right.
So, but anyway, so that's the Red Hat Lady.
Wow. That's fascinating. I mean, I'm sorry for her patients and victims, of course, but um that's creepy. Creepy, creepy. I definitely want to hear more about this, like if there's any updates that come along for sure.
Well, absolutely.
Yeah. So, we've talked about my line of work before being a nurse, an RN.
Yes.
So I've worked in a couple facilities, which I'm not going to name any of the facilities, of course, for privacy and all that stuff, legal reasons. But um, I can tell you that I've had or have talked to someone that has worked in every single facility that I've worked in that has had some sort of experience. Something has happened. So I'm going to talk about a couple of the smaller ones that I know about and then um, lead to the big one that I think is just crazy. So, my friend, this was in New Hampshire, she used to work at a facility that used
Okay.
to be like a budget hotel. So, a lot of things happened there prior, like drug deals, drug overdoses, stuff like that. So, just a lot of negativity that maybe happened there. So, they turned that hotel into a facility. So she worked overnights, third shift, with her and her friend at the time. So her and her partner were, going about doing their thing. And one was on one unit, one was on the other unit. And the friend called my friend over, like, hey, something weird's going on over here. Come over here, come over here. So she came over there, and there was this one specific room that they were like, she's like, I tried to get this door open and I can't get it open. Like, I don't know what's going on. So they both tried to open said door to the room, and the room wouldn't budge. It was like they used all their force and could not get the door open. And now I've heard of this before happening at other places too. So this is actually kind of common in hospitals
Right.
and stuff. Um, but they pulled and tried, and no matter what they did, they couldn't get the door open. And then just as quick as it happened, it was like something let go of the other side of the door, and the door opened. They went in,
Hmm.
checked on patient. Patient was sleeping, like nothing had happened. So still don't know what caused that, but there was other things too there in that specific facility, but yeah, a lot of creepy stuff happened there. So The next one that I want to talk about was at a specific facility that me and my partner were actually sitting in our office at the time, and we're just sitting there working. And now we are not in a earthquake prone area. Let's just put it that way, okay?
Right.
So we look over as a chart is being flung off the chart rack. Like flung off the rack onto the floor across the room. We both looked at each other and
Oh,
we're like, what is that? So we went and, we put the chart back up there and we inquired to some of our coworkers about, hey, is this place haunted? Anything weird happen here? And then we were informed that they frequently would see someone walking through the administration building, which was not attached, sorry, it was detached from the main complex. So they would see someone walking through there through the window. Like you could see them, like the lights would be off. Next thing you know, there's like a light on, and you can see this person walking through there, like, and no one's in there.
oh,
There was some other creepy stuff too that people reported in like the mechanical room and all that. But um let's just say at this place people didn't just wander around. Like
right.
you didn't wander around. It wasn't safe to do so. So there's that. Um I was at a different location. I know it seems like I've had a lot of jobs, but I work a lot. So before I tell you about what I experienced, I'll tell you what some of the patients told me. So, multiple patients have told me of a knocking. There would be a knocking that they would hear from the room. And the first thing we would always be like, "Oh, there's probably squirrels or something up in the attic or what have you." And they were like, "No, we were knocking back to it and it would knock back to us." And I'm like,
Oh,
"Yeah, right, whatever." It happened a lot. A lot. Another patient told me, actually, there was two patients that told me about a figure standing over them while they were in bed, sleeping. And another completely separate patient from a different time wasn't there with the patients that told me about the black figure in the first place. Told me about, well, I went up to check on her and she was very shooken up, and I was like, "What is wrong? What's going on?" And she proceeded to tell me that she was trying to scream for help, but she couldn't because there was something
oh,
on top of her, and she couldn't scream. So I was like, "Oh, sleep paralysis, that's a thing, right?
yep.
Where we think we're awake, because we're always trying to lead with the mundane, right? The things that could happen
Hmm.
naturally." And she's like,
Yeah.
"No, no, like I've seen this thing in the up by the ceiling watching me in the corners. It's a black shadow." And I screamed for help and no one came. I was like, "We didn't hear you." It's because she couldn't scream. So it wouldn't allow her to scream.
Hmm.
Now, one night I was working late, and the way that our place was set up, we had a separate nursing office, and where we kept the medications was just around the corner, but it was a separate locked room. So I was
Hmm.
there working at night. I never work nights, but somehow I got wrangled into that, and I was like, "Fine, I'll work till midnight, whatever." And the other person that was going to relieve me was on her way from a far distance away. So I was just hanging out, waiting until she got there. And she got there and everything was fine, and we went out of the doors around the corner to the medication room because all the controlled medications have to be counted when you hand off to another person.
Yep.
Everyone was in bed. It was late. Everyone was in bed sleeping. There was nobody up. Like we had a bedtime. And we counted the medications, got up, came back out to the nursing office. All of the artwork that the clients had made and we would keep in this little vestibule area was positioned on these ledges. And so everything was done so nicely and it was really pretty. Well, when we walked around this corner, all the artwork was taken and on the other side of the vestibule, arranged in a circular pattern.
Oh,
Nobody was there. Like I said, no earthquakes, right? No loud booms, no noises, no nothing. It was completely silent. It's midnight. I was like, all right. And I could feel when I left, because we would go out, it's dark. So I left to go out to my vehicle and I could feel someone behind me. And I was like, all right, you cannot come home with me. You got to stay here. You have to stay
right.
here. So prior to that happening, there was another instance where me and some of the staff and some of the residents or the patients were there in the little like kitchen meeting area, and I was talking to one of the new residents, and I looked over. Me and the new resident looked over and saw um, a shorter statured figure very quickly move from the right to the left into the dining room and then turned around and went back just as quickly. So, being the type of nurse that I am, I see somebody like rushing through. I'm like, hey, what's up? Like, what can I do for you? So, I chase said person back to the room that I thought they belonged in. The person that was in the room was chilling and sleeping, like not even up. I was like, hey, did you just come out here? Are you good? No, what are you talking about? I've been sleeping. Okay. When I talked to the patient that was sitting with me earlier, I'm like, did you see? Yes, I saw that. I thought it was a person. It wasn't a person. There's no person. So that's cool. The one that I want to talk about the most, though, it's pretty creepy. I've taken care of kids before.
Right.
So there have been numerous children who have talked to me about this thing that they see in their rooms, or they've
Oh,
seen it outside the window. Um, they call him the 10-foot tall man.
oh,
Um, yes, they call him the 10-foot tall man. He's very, very tall. I think it's a rendition of the Hat Man, but
right,
the way that they describe it, but they don't know about the Hat Man, right? They're kids.
right,
So
right.
they call him the 10-foot tall man. And he lives in the woods, is what they tell us, is he lives in the woods, um, behind the basketball court. So
Okay.
they all describe him the same. And they all report having this like feeling of dread and all that stuff. When they see him, they just terrify him. So there have been a lot of weird things that have happened at this facility in my time when I was there.
Hmm.
So the staff that have been there for a really long time have reported in specific buildings shadow figures. They can see the shadow figures going from one door to the other. um Weird electrical stuff, which, I mean, if it's old, fine, I'm not gonna say that it's necessarily not like a normal thing that could happen with an issue with the electrical, right? Because who knows? But like, breakers on, can't turn on lights. And then breakers like still on, and then the lights now work. The water turning on and off, and they aren't like stick your hand underneath sensor faucets. The water will turn on and off. I've personally seen things fall, like, remember, no earthquakes, fall
Right.
off of like stuff. Like, what? Like, how is that falling? And I'm like, okay, whatever. Paper towels, like dispensers will work by themselves. Doors closed, doors open. Like, I've seen this with my eyes. Okay.
Mhm.
Another staff member that I spoke with about this told me about one time when she was walking down to one of the far buildings that she saw a little boy in the window. And at this specific time, that building wasn't open for business. So the face of the little boy was in one of the offices that are not used for patient care. And like no one was in the building. So where did this little boy come from? Now, I've heard a lot of rumors. Kids have told me, oh, well, a kid died drowned here on this property. There's no evidence of that. There's no evidence of that. There's nowhere for a kid to drown. Um, so I wasn't able to find any factual information. I wasn't able to dig up anything related to that. But they say the 10-foot tall man is there and he's real. So I can tell you that on the basketball court, I have seen with my eyes a basketball bouncing like it was being dribbled by something.
Oh,
Don't know
huh.
what it was. Don't know. Like, I always joked that we needed to bring some sage in and do some cleansing. Um, but yeah, in a couple of the buildings, like you just have this overwhelming sense of dread. Like it just feels off. Like off. You can feel the energy is not the same. And like I said, a lot of the staff that have worked there prior have stories about seeing figures, cold spots, hearing noises, all that stuff. Um, but yeah, so the 10-foot tall man, like I said, I think is like a version of the Hat Man. So he,
Mhm.
for those that don't know what that is, it's a tall shadow figure that wears a wide brimmed hat. And it's usually like a dark silhouette. You can't really get a face. You know, very little facial features. You see him frequently in doorways, corners of the room, beside a bed. And then with him comes that overwhelming feeling of dread or fear. And then a lot of the time, the encounters happen with some sleep paralysis, or they feel like they're out, like having an out of body experience when these are happening. Um, So in 2019, a study found that among individuals experiencing sleep paralysis, hallucinations is what we're scientifically calling it, right? Nearly
Right.
58% of them reported sensing a presence with shadow figures among the most common forms described. So,
Hmm.
right. Now another creepy thing that I just remembered. Um, this place is in the middle of nowhere. So there's all kinds of wildlife around, all kinds of deer and wild hogs and, eagles and all kinds of stuff. So very commonly there's animals that get injured or killed on the road, because the speed limit is pretty fast and people use it as a cut through. And one day we noticed there was a deer skull
Oh.
positioned on a stump or rock. I can't remember exactly what it was by the entrance. And of
Hmm.
course, witchy me, I gotta go figure that out. Why is that there? Who put that there? What is going on with this? Um, yeah. So we don't have an answer as to how that got put there like that. We thought it was a practical joke. We asked everybody. I mean, I checked it, like I couldn't sense anything necessarily negative with it, and there was really no evidence of like someone using it in a ritual practice. Like you would notice some like dried herbs or something, right? If they used it in some sort of a ritual, but it was just a clean skull.
Huh.
It was weird.
So like what? Like what? Maybe someone cleaned it, or it had been out there for so long, or
I don't know. I
was
mean, it was a clean skull. So it did somebody put it there to mess with us? Or was it just there because we didn't see any deer right by the entrance to the place? So I don't know. It was weird. Very weird. But yeah.
huh.
So um I mean kids don't lie, right? If they
No
don't know any
kids? Yeah.
better, they're not gonna lie. They're gonna tell you what they see.
Yep.
There's been
That's
other
very true.
accounts of like people saying they hear voices and stuff like that. So it's a lot. And like I said, I can't figure out anything as to why. Like why. So it remains a mystery.
It does. Well, that was all right. So you have 10-foot tall man, you have sightings and beans, and I
Yeah.
have red hat lady. Jesus Christ.
The
This
hat
just goes to show
is a
you.
theme. That's a theme.
Yeah, this just goes to show you that hospitals are spooky as fuck.
Yes.
So, that's. But, anyways, thank you again for listening. We're glad that you were able to tune in. Please do not forget to check out, of course, check out what Christina is doing with, mystical moonlight paths.
Yes.
Um, So don't forget to check that out. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you have any questions or any concerns or you want to share ghost stories, please. Oh, and can we go ahead and mention to our amazing listeners that we're gonna have our first round of guests coming up?
Yes, we are in the near future.
Yes, so we have our first round of guests coming up. Well, actually, it wouldn't be our first round of guests. We have had one guest, I think, prior, but this is going to be ones that like, mm, this is this is going to just add to the validity of what we're doing. So, but yeah,
Yes.
so we look forward to that. We look forward to everything that we get to keep doing. This is actually episode, believe it or not, it's my lucky number. This is episode 13. I'm so happy. I'm so happy. It's episode 13. We have done this for 13 episodes and we have many more to go. We have many more things to talk about. Um, we got trips that we've got to plan, once vacations and everything gets settled with our jobs and our lives. So we got all that to plan. So we got places to see, things to do, ghosts to hunt, and who knows what the future brings. One day, we're on YouTube, so one day you might see a little video of us doing something. Actually, fun fact, and I do want to let everyone know this: the Trans Allegheny Lunatic Asylum officially has tickets on sale now for its October tour dates. So make sure you hit up their Facebook page, their website. They have tickets on sale now for their official October tour dates. If you do not want to be part of their official tour dates and you want a private event, you want a private showing, they do that throughout the year. You just have to get a hold of the owners of the Trans Allegheny Lunatic Asylum. But yeah, so that is definitely happening. Penhurst is getting ready to open their ticket sales as well. So who knows? Maybe in the future you'll be able to meet and greet us, or we'll set up a meet and greet, and we'll be able to meet all the listeners and do a bunch of cool things. But yes, so thank you again so much for listening. As always, of course, I am your host, Gray, always joined by the lovely Christina. Thank you again for listening to As the Skeleton Key Turns.
Good night.
Bye.